Chief Cecil, are you around?
Yes, I'm here, Counselor.
All right, I see that we have 2 items from you.
Oh, I muted myself. Sorry about that. So you want me to begin?
Please.
Okay, sure. So item 1 is our yearly request to waive the RFP so that we can enter into agreements with 3 of the gun ranges in the county that we utilize for gun qualifications and certifications throughout the year.
Okay, now I see that it's in Cicero, right? Is it? Was that correct?
Yes, it is 2021 budget year.
Bridgeport. Okay, but I'm asking for the location. It's in Bridgeport.
Oh.
So does this
Oh,
mean
yes.
we have nothing here in the right?
Oh, there's absolutely nothing in the city, Counselor. If there was, believe me, we would be using it.
Yeah. Jesus. Very unfortunate. Okay. Councilors, do you have any question here? I see Councilor Rudd is here. Madam President is here. Councilor Driscoll. Yeah, so Councilor Driscoll, are you fine with it?
Yes, that's fine with me, Councilor Majuk.
Okay. All right.
I just have a quick question, Counselor.
Yes, Madam President. Go ahead.
Said you do three RFPs, or you're waiving the RFPs?
We're requesting to waive the RFP because we go into contract with 3 different gun ranges. And the reason we do that is no one gun range would be able to accommodate the size of our department when we begin our in-service training. And at times they have other agencies as well. So we really need to be able to be flexible with 3 different ranges so that we can get these officers through their certification and qualifications. If we use just one range, if we put this out to an RFP and one range won that bid, I don't think they could accommodate us when we begin our training. It's a lot of officers going through training.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. I guess let's move on to the second one, Chief. Thank you.
Yep. So the second one is the request to enter an agreement with Well Now to do some specific things for us. This is not going to exceed $10,000. This is the usual 3 items that we use them for, which is physical exams and evaluations for new hires, hepatitis B vaccinations, and the third one is drug testing and screening, which is mostly done for our SID detectives, the detectives assigned for our special investigation unit.
Okay. And again, we have no one that is local that can do that for us, right?
I believe the one we actually use, the Well Now clinic that we use, is in the city. I think it's on Erie Boulevard. So
Okay.
it is in the city, the one we use.
Okay. All right. And you said this is a yearly thing?
Yes.
Councilors?
Fine with me.
Fine by me.
All right. Madam President, are you all set?
Yeah, I just want to ask Chief Cecil a question offline.
Okay. Okay. So that's it for the committee item. We'll move on to the second stage. We want to talk a little bit as well about right to know legislation that we passed yesterday. We want to officially bring it back so that it can join the other item on the next meeting, or at least for it to make it to the council agenda. I see here that we have a city clerk with us, Ronnie White, department heads, Steve Buckner is here, Kristen Smith is here. So we will just allow a chance for department head to put in the piece. I see Raynette is here. Oh, I also see Councilor Penyawa. So thank you, Councilor. Does anyone has any questions Ronnie, before we move everything, before we move the legislation forward. Both for Raynette wanted to say something. Chief Buckner, I know you want to say something. Kristen as well. So if any one of you want to chime in and say a few words or questions, please, this is the
Yes,
time.
Mr. Chair, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak today. I haven't met Mr. White, heard a lot of really good things about him. So and some of this deals with I believe the draft, which has been presented. I would just respectfully ask that the committee give us some time before we actually vote on this. I will tell you, first of all, I understand that there are many people in the community that feels like that this is something that that we should have accomplished long before now. Obviously, we can't change that, but we can make sure that what we ultimately vote on is something that has the intended impact that I believe that we're looking for. I will tell you that in principle, many of the things that are outlined in the right to know language already exist in many of our policies in different places. But the fact that I feel like that the four pillars are to identify who you are, what you're doing, why you're doing it, and then what your rights are as a citizen. We take no issue with that. Certainly from the mayor's desk, and I don't want to speak for him, but I know that from his desk and certainly from the chief of police. I will just tell you that looking at something from a logistical and operational standpoint, this is a monumental move that we are considering. I would ask you to think of the following things. From a reporting and records management system standpoint, from the training that we would need to give our officers, from the hiring of additional staff, from there's a backdate component to this that says to start with July, and then I believe something will be due as it relates to that particular quarter period. But I don't know if that's specifically saying that for the months, obviously, where this was not in place, we obviously wouldn't have data for that. So I'm not sure what you mean by backdating to that date. But there are many things that are not clear. Also, we think that there are some potential financial minefields or pitfalls in this that would be unintended. Not connected with this, but a part of this conversation. First of all, I want to be able to comply with what the Common Council has asked the Syracuse Police Department to do. In order to do that, I have to have the infrastructure and the bandwidth to be able to do it. It is my concern that we are on the verge of creating another CRB kind of situation. And by that, I mean, with no disrespect, good intentions, poorly written, dated kind of parameters or timeframes that were given that didn't fully consider the operational request that you're asking the entity to perform. And what you're going to end up with is a bunch of written language where the police department is consistently not in compliance with it because we didn't make the appropriate adjustments when we implemented it. And I don't want to get back to that. And I'd like to give you an example, and I'm almost done, sir. When you look at the fact that my current infrastructure that I have, just one example is we're in the process of giving Raynette investigative cases from 2017. 2017. And now you're going to ask me to take on this monumental mountain of other administrative responsibilities that I agree the people deserve, and some of it, significant parts of it, that we take no issue with. But we need to be able to illuminate to you the concerns that we have of what you are presenting. And I would just say that if we were asking Ronnie White, Mr. White, to prepare a brief today on what his arguments were for the right to know, and we just gave him the document yesterday. You all formally gave us this document yesterday, and we're moving forward at a rapid pace for something that is monumental for the police department. I'm officially trying to warn you as best I possibly can. We're going to disappoint you. We're going to disappoint you, and we're not going to be able to meet what you're asking us to do. And I just think that if you give us the time to illuminate the concerns that we have, attempt to find middle ground language on the things that we don't agree upon, with the current language, and see if we can come to an agreement on something in the middle that everyone can live with you all still ultimately being able to do what you're going to do, but that we had the appropriate time and space to be able to say, we're raising our hands, we have this concerns as the operational responsible entity. I think that's all that I have. I have some examples if you want to, but I'd rather do that formally in a document where me and my people have a chance to sit down. Again, I would just ask every person that's listening to this, think of what you're asking us to do. Keep in mind, you just gave us the document yesterday and the significant ask that you're getting ready to do of the police department and the time frame to which you're doing it in.
Now, Chief, how much time do you need?
Mr. Chair, I would like to address that after you have seen the concerns that we have, because I want to give you a reasonable window, because the one thing that I want to be respectful of is I understand that you all have significant pressure on you to get this done. And we too, speaking from the what the mayor has charged me to do, we want to get this done. But I want us to have something that we all can be proud of, that we're actually doing it in our city and that we're getting the impact that we want. Once we hand you, if you can give me about a week or so to hand you our concerns, then I think it's better to talk about how long it will take you to agree to modify, make whatever changes you make, if any. I'm not saying that you may look at it and say that we're crazy and you're going to do what you're going to do. But I think if we would be better equipped at that time to look at some time frames as to how long it will take us to make modifications to this once you see our concerns.
Well, I think, Chief, your concern is valid, but I think at the same time, us moving forward is the right thing to do. We don't vote on this until the 20th, so that should give you plenty of time to get you what you need to us.
Okay, question.
Yes.
If you agree with many of the concerns that we have, or some of the concerns that we have, are you willing to delay the vote on the 28th if we obviously agree that there are things that need to be changed?
I think that question, I'll leave it to the councilors, but on my part, we will revisit this item again on next Wednesday. And by then, it will depend on what you bring back. But at the same time, Chief, know that this item is an item that the community want to see go through. So as by saying that, all I'm saying is, give us what you think is going to be that is different from what we have on the table before Wednesday. So I think I'll leave it there, and I'll give it to other councilors to Sharman as well. Councilor Rudd, Councilor Driscoll, I see Councilor Allen here, and Yao and everybody else.
Well, I would just say I would happily listen to everything the police department, all the feedback, and take that into consideration. I think most councilors would, so that the law can be effective. So yeah, I of course want to hear what the police department thinks and what the challenges are.
If I can interject though, if you don't mind, my apologies, Counselor. And I'm always concerned, Chief. I got to be direct. I'm always concerned about how the narrative comes across. Laws are passed, and we have to enforce the laws. That's the bottom line. Is very seldom on the federal level or the state level there's opportunity for departments to live with whatever the legislature passes. I think we have to be careful about the message that's communicated. Oftentimes, when we pass laws, we leave a certain amount of time to put enforcement in place. So we may pass a law, it may be effective immediately. We may pass a law, it may be effective 90 days, it may be effective 6 months from now. But I think we have to be careful about this idea that the council has to give everybody a heads up. That's not true. You know, and we don't have to do that. So I think we got to be clear about that. I don't want anybody to get the message misconstrued. You know, the one thing that is clear, you know, right now we got 2 weeks before we vote again. And the request was for a week, if I'm not mistaken, unless I misconstrued that. So you technically have 2 weeks before we vote. And if we dialogue before that 2 weeks and there's something that we agree could be adjusted, then we'll make those adjustments. But, you know, right now we got more time than what was requested, unless I misheard the request. But I want to reemphasize, you got to be careful about the narrative we put out there, because we pass laws and then those laws have to be followed. That's just how that goes. And I say that with due respect.
So I will ask this question in a respectful rebuttal to that. You had that same power when you passed the CRB. What did you get for that?
And we can debate it all day. There is no rebuttal for it. If we pass the law is the law. You know, so
but as far as the outcome, did you get the outcome that you desired from that?
The CRB is not the same animal and it doesn't have the same teeth, Chief. We're talking about the council here that does have teeth. So if we say it is law, let me be clear. Let me be clear, Chief.
But you put a responsibility. You put a responsibility on the CRB and you put a responsibility on the police that was not well thought out. And we have what we have today. I'm simply sounding an alarm saying we're headed for CRB number 2.
Well, I'm saying that you're wrong. And it ain't a matter of CRB and not being well thought through. It's a matter of whether it's being executed properly by all involved. You know, and that's a matter of the people who put it in place. The CRB, as it is put in place before any of us here got on the council. We didn't do it. All right. It was redone right before it was done right before me and Councilor Hudson or President Hudson got elected. You know what I mean? But when you're talking about the council, who without a doubt have teeth to put laws into place and to obligate people who work for the city to perform a certain way, we can do that. This is not the CRB. Let's not make that mistake. You know, so you know what we're talking about here is rules for operation and procedures. And the simple thing that I'm saying is we got to be careful about the narrative. We do not have to look for the okay from a department to put a law into place. That is not true. It'll never be true. We got to be careful about sending that narrative.
I don't know where you heard anything that you all had to have an okay from us. I think if we were to play this back, I simply asked to be heard.
I understand what you said. I know what you said, Chief, because I listened to you, right? You know, but what you talk, the narrative suggests that you just got it the other day. You're implying that you should have time to, and then you're talking about that it'll be another CRB. You're going to disappoint us, right? I mean, that's essentially the message, that you won't be able to do essentially what the legislation suggests.
Yes.
That you weren't given enough time to live with it so that you can give us your position on what it should look like. See, that's the thing that doesn't have to happen. That's the point I'm making to you. That doesn't have to happen. We could just put it in the law and that's it. You know, the matter of enforcement falls down to the mayor and everybody who works for him to ensure that it gets enforced. That's the truth. Otherwise, you pass other laws.
Well, this is what I would say then. You all have heard my concern. If you believe what you believe, move forward.
And I would like to move forward and give other people a chance. Pro Tem, thank you. Chief Buckner, thank you.
Councilman Joke, let me say this to you, man. You got to be careful about the narratives, right? You know, this very passive approach thing, as if this thing is all on the same playing field. It's not. Even to make the statement, Chief, with due respect, to suggest you gave your warning. You out of pocket right now, Chief. You understand? You're out of pocket right now. So I'm just going to say that to you, and then we can talk further offline. Who should give you
a warning from the police department?
We could talk further offline. But right now, that's a little out of pocket.
Until somebody tells me different, if there's a warning that needs to be issued from the police department, I think I sit in the chair that issues the warning.
Yeah, I understand, but you received our warning as well.
Okay. And I said, if you all believe what you say you believe, move forward.
And Chief, I think
we're
all
dealt
of
with
us
it,
here.
We'll deal with it.
Yeah. If all of us here are willing to hear what you have to say, but what we are saying is we have enough time until before the 28th to give us what your thoughts are. And at the moment, legislation will move forward while we wait and listen to what you have to say. I don't think what we are saying here is that we are canceling you out. We are not. But at the same time, we will do what we were tasked to do. I think that's the understanding. Thank you, Pro Tem. Anybody else that wanna chime in here? Ray, do you wanna talk? I think there was, or am I wrong? There was an indication that you want to say something.
Yes, I'm here. I was just kind of waiting to make sure that there was no other counselors that were going to make a comment before I spoke.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. Raynette Relaford, the administrator for the Citizens Review Board. Thank you for providing me with a copy of the legislation to attend this meeting. With respect to the legislation, I agree that this needs to be, that I would ask and urge the council to move this forward. I did have a few concerns, and that would just be that I was pleased, well, I want to make a few statements before, but I was pleased that the statute included requirements that the officer provide CRB contacts, so I appreciate that. I would also point out the fact about that I wanted to state that it was very important to see that you had some contentions in it that related to you and the chief of police in terms of the public safety chair with regard to the rules and enforcement of the policy. I appreciated that, and I just would ask that at some point in time there is contact made related to the CRB. And if we are seeing that we are receiving more complaints and people are stating that they received information from the police and suggested that they contact. I am concerned about the reporting and how we are going to make sure that those reports are also shared with the CRB for the information that should be data collection related to this matter. And in reference to subdivision G, we would like to see if we can include that the CRB should be consulted and involved in the processing and developing any said policy with SPD as it relates to this. As you know, the ordinance suggests that the CRB be involved in policy and training recommendations, and that we continue to make policy and training recommendations, and we would like those things to be enforced as it relates to this policy, as well, and any policy that SPD feels that they need to develop to be in compliance with this legislation. Also, in terms of a counteracting report, we were wondering if you are going to be asking the CRB related to any counteracting reports that have to do with this legislation. But we appreciate the movement by the council to make this vote expeditiously on the 28th, and we urge you to do so. We appreciate Councilor Bay's, Pro Temp Councilor Bay's comments related to everything that has been said today. And those are the points that we just want to make sure that we are somehow included in the process when it talks about the compliance of this legislation, so that we are included and our voice can be heard as well.
All right. Thank you, Ray. Councilors, anyone want to add to Ray's point, or our Mr. White, do you have anything you want to add to that at all? I saw Kristen Smith. Kristen, did you want to say something?
You know, I don't really have anything substantive on it today. I just received this version yesterday as well, but I just wanted to just say that, you know, whenever the council has been, you know, successful passing really important legislation that's really important for the city, you've done a great job taking the time that's needed to get it right. That we've seen that recently with the lead ordinance. We've seen that with the rental registry legislation. We see that going on right now with the sidewalk ordinance. I just think it's really important. This is an incredibly important piece of legislation that I think, everyone wants to get right. So I'm just hopeful that kind of following on with the chief, that there's some time for very thoughtful discussion about, making sure that it's crafted and worded in a way that accomplishes your objective. So I'm hoping that we can all take the time to do that.
Okay. Well, like I said earlier, all of you have enough time to be able to get us what you need or get us your suggestions before the 28th. So, and as we always said, our ears are open for suggestions. All right, councilors, anyone? I see Deputy Mayor Sharon Owens. If you wanna, Charmin, please, by all means.
Yeah, I think that we're all very passionate people, and I think passions may have gotten the best of us in this conversation. I think that this legislation in the context of police reform is an important piece of it. I believe that the spirit of the purpose for it has been laid out. What the chief and what the administration is looking at is the practical aspects of being on the ground as police operations and being able to couple that with the legislative intent in order to make this legislation and this effort provide the service to the city of Syracuse that we intend. And so I'm hoping that as we all move through this meeting and move on, cooler heads prevail. We'll do our work on our end as you've requested, Counselor, and be able to get you information regarding some of the practical operational pieces of it that we think need to be taken into consideration to make it effective for all. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Does anyone has a question for Mr. White? Councilors? Okay, Mr. Clark, do you have anything? Okay, so as Councilor Rudd, Councilor Allen, and Councilor Driscoll, we voted on this legislation yesterday to move it forward. They just added into the list. I take that we still maintain the same position to move it forward, and we will wait for suggestion from department head and other parties as we move.
Yes, I would say I still vote to move it forward. I'd just like to add that I'm my ears are definitely very open, and I look forward to hearing SPD's input on it, because it's important that they, that it work, and we hear their feedback. So I'm still eager to move it forward, and looking forward to hearing from the chiefs and SPD on their thoughts on the legislation as well.
Anyone else? Thank you. Councilor Rudd, we are moving it. Councilor Allen, we are moving it, right?
Yes, I'm okay with that.
Okay, Rudd? Rudd, I think cut off, but I think we got enough vote to get it going. All right. I think if nothing else, from anyone among the councilors and department head, I think this meeting is all set. Have a good afternoon. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Cho.
Yes, you're welcome.